Well, insofar as the Soyface represents a human stereotype, a human typical type, I think it's much more appropriate to look at it from the Nietzschean lens. Because what did Nietzsche say? He was saying, like, all right, we're coming into this era where comfort is going to make us small, make us petty, make us weak. Comfort is going to distort us into these last men, as he would say. The tyranny of the last men will be the worst thing you've ever seen. The tyranny of the last man will be a shocking thing because they will impose mediocrity upon you. You will no longer be able to be strong and healthy. They will take that from you. You must be like them. You must be a McDonald's man like everyone else. What you saw, for example, in 2020, we could say, was the first real glimpse of the tyranny of the last man, the tyranny of the soy-faced man, where they scream about Star Wars as they hold you down and attack you and try to jab things inside of you. And I think that is what you're seeing rising up. And maybe the thing with the Zoomers, the extremist Zoomers, is that they're more of a representation of reaction, like they're reactionary force. And reaction is quite a logical thing to come. It doesn't necessarily mean it's right. It can often be very impulsive and foolish. But nonetheless, it's consequential towards the Soyface. The Soyface are driving the arc of history. And I guess one of Nietzsche's assertions is that, look, we don't want to be reactionaries against these things. Headless chickens, shall we say. We want to be grabbing reality by our own two hands and saying to ourselves, what do we want to assert? He was, of course, banging on about the Ubermensch and stuff like this. But I understand the Zoomers. I understand where they're coming from. A lot of them are very unhealthy in their own way, and they have their own issues too as well.
This can also be related to Jung in the sense of Jung talking about evil, where you were talking before about the swastika as this symbol of evil, but also being like the symbol of energy. Do you think that right now what we're seeing as far as these reactions to modernity, it's going to manifest in similar kinds of evil that we've seen before throughout history?
You're relating it to Hitler, right?
Well, I'm relating it to evil. I'm relating it to the idea that there's all this evil that's within us, which is what Jung was talking about.
Well, that's what's funny is I was just this morning I was listening to an interview with Carl Jung on YouTube, and highlighting stuff from my book and just trying to, kind of cram before this because I didn't finish Ion completely, but I almost did. And I have read Memories, Dreams, and Reflection, and I've listened to like 25 lectures from Uberboyo, so I'm qualified here to talk about this stuff. I didn't realize this. He was presented as this savior, actually, for Germany. He was this presented as this like Jesus Christ type of figure, and the whole thing sort of got flipped on its head, which is very interesting. And by the way, I went to an estate sale the other day because a guy goes, you got to come to this estate sale because they have all these books. So next week I go to the estate sale, I drive all the way across town. I go in, this guy has 2,000 books. I'm not kidding you. Almost all of them are about Adolf Hitler. I don't know what it is that man represents to people and the obsession that people have with him that are, unless the guy was just a neo-Nazi, in which case it's somewhat simple. But I like to think that it's a little bit more, sophisticated than that. Was Hitler this coin that was like presented as a savior, and then it was just flipped, and then he's the total psyche, right? He's the Christ and the Antichrist. He's both people. He just got flipped.
Yeah, one thing I want to say real quick. A lot of stuff that Jung presents. Well, number one, he's a student of Freud, but he's also a huge Nietzsche fan. He's the one who coins the terms introvert and extrovert. Actually are invented by Carl Jung, by the way. People don't know. Carl Jung invented those terms. He actually got those by taking on the Apollonian Dionysian duality that Nietzsche brought to us. And the reason why I'm saying this is because I think Jung saw everything in like this duality of like, he can see this two sides of everything. Like even in the most evil thing in the world, he can see the good in it. And he's kind of an opposite of Nietzsche, where Nietzsche was the best at criticizing anything. Like he was like the Tupac of philosophy, just dissing everybody left and right, making fun of everybody, just destroying people, like completely just like wrecking everybody. Yep. But Jung, is the exact opposite of that. Jung saw greatness in almost everything, even Nazis, and he got criticized for that. He got called Nazi sympathizer, all that. But I just think that's how Jung kind of was. He just has this weird way of looking at it.
Yeah, he was twisted. He really was twisted like that.